So yeah, today was rough to watch my Texas Tech team play against
Yeah.
Baylor.
I did not see that game, so I saw 63-35. It looked like they jumped out early. Did Patrick Mahomes play?
He did play. He
Okay.
had a rough game. He had a rough game.
Because I was pretty confident with 17 points with Mahomes on the field that it was going to stay somewhat competitive. But, Baylor showed me something, at least by looking at the score. Again, I want to watch the highlights and look at the numbers and the recap. But
Yeah,
for them not to have played anybody and Texas Tech to have played, your boys to have played that well against TCU and Arkansas the week before, Tech's obviously
yep,
much improved, and then Baylor comes out and smacks him around.
yeah. The offense looks great. It's just the defense is horrible. I mean, the defense gives up way too many points. Gives up way too many yards per game. But yeah, the offense is solid though.
Yeah, the offense is good. DeAndre Washington's a really good back. I don't know what kind of game he had today, but really tore up TCU last week.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, Mahomes, I wish he would have played one of his better games today. He obviously needed to keep up with that
yeah,
offense. They've got two receivers that are difficult for anybody to cover, and Katie Cannon and Corey Coleman. And they
yeah.
run the
Jakeem
ball.
Grant. Yeah, Jakeem Grant. I think he's going to have a bright future, even when he does go into the NFL. I think he's going to have a great career.
Yeah, he's a really good player. There's no question
Yeah.
about that. So, do you know who you guys have next week?
Next week, I believe we have Oklahoma State.
Okay. They pulled one
So,
out against Kansas State, so they're still undefeated. Won their first two in the Big
yep.
12. I took a flyer on Kansas State this week to pull off the upset, so I was feeling pretty good about that most of the game. But then they let it go on the last drive there.
Yeah, yeah. No, and this has been a tough schedule for us too. I mean, TCU, Baylor, now Oklahoma State. I mean, that's a tough three games right there.
It is. You get the big two, and then who knows? Maybe it's a big three with Oklahoma. West Virginia is pretty solid. That's going to be a difficult game for you.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, Kansas State, even though they don't bring supposedly the athletes, uh, they're always prepared and ready to play.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, and Baker Mayfield, who used to be Texas Tech's
Yep.
quarterback last season, I mean, he looks like he's doing pretty good, for Oklahoma. So should be interesting, to see when Oklahoma plays against Texas Tech, see how that matchup goes.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good game. That should be a really
Yeah,
good game. I did like what I saw. I was just explaining about half of the Oklahoma West Virginia game, and I think that Oklahoma's front seven's really good. Of course, Striker's a good player. Tapper's a good player. Striker's one of the best defensive players in the country, I should say.
oh yeah,
So he's crazy good off the edge, really explosive. So your tackles are going to be ready.
yep.
Somebody's asking about Ohio State. Yeah, they struggled. They struggled, but they found a way to win. I think their defense is better than what they showed today. But yeah, Ezekiel Elliott went off in the second half. But Cardell Jones, I don't think is the guy that should be the quarterback for Ohio State. I've said that over and over. Is
So
Michigan for
here's a
real?
question for you.
Yeah.
So in the Pac-12, with Oregon, struggling the way they've been doing, they're not even ranked anymore.
Yeah.
Who do you like in the Pac-12 as far as winning the Pac-12 this year?
Well, my Pac 12 champion is in trouble tonight. I picked UCLA, which has gone pretty well thus far, winning its first four games, but they're down to Arizona State. I think it's still like 22-10 at half.
Oh wow.
But even with a true freshman quarterback in Josh Rosen, I thought UCLA was the best team coming out of August, but they've lost three of their best defensive players and Miles Jack, who's, like we talk about Eric Stryker, one of the big game changers on defense in college football. He's gone for the season. Eddie Vanderdoes is a great defensive end. Fabian Moreau, one of their top two corners, is out. But They got Paul Perkins, who led the Pac-12 in rushing last year. So I like UCLA top to bottom. But again, it's crazy because Arizona State has looked like garbage. The two decent opponents they've played, but they're beating UCLA tonight by 12. That's like Ole Miss beat Alabama a couple weeks ago in Tuscaloosa, and then they turn around, they're losing 25-0 out of the gate to Florida. So it's tough to pick, but I took UCLA out of the gate.
Yeah, that's real shocking about Ole Miss right now.
It really is. It really is because I haven't seen too much of it. Again, I've got it on DVR, and I got to write some stuff tonight. I don't know if I'll be able to watch all these games I DVR'd, but yeah, they look so good against Alabama and have been dominant against lesser teams. And I really like what Florida's got on defense and at different places offensively. They've got a really good back in Kelvin Taylor, and they've got really strong wide receiver play, but their offensive line is completely inexperienced. I just thought Ole Miss would overwhelm them in the front seven, but apparently they haven't.
Yeah.
So I think they're ready to kick off. I was going to jump off here and catch Clemson Notre Dame here.
Sounds good, man.
Thanks for jumping on, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
To talk to. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
All right, guys. I guess we'll jump off. I'll mention a few things here. Going to stay on during the second half of the Notre Dame game. I really don't think so. Unfortunately, I have some articles to write about the Big Ten, and have a daughter that's running around that I need to pick up at some point as well. So got a few things going on. So we will talk to everybody later. See ya. Thanks for jumping on.